SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
Perfect. Want to get that? Okay, first of all, just looking back last Saturday, obviously disappointing loss. I thought that we've come ready to play once again. Great environment out there, great venue. It's amazing, 90,000 fans at 11 o'clock in the morning. Pretty impressive, but a great environment. I thought our players played with a lot of energy and a lot of focus. But you got to come away with a win in that kind of situation. Still with an opportunity to win 7, so we'll move forward. When I look at this past weekend, you look at execution in certain areas. Played outstanding on defense, obviously, and then but execution needs to too many drop passes, too many different things going on the offensive side of the ball. Missed a couple cuts, things of that nature. I thought that penalties, a couple crucial penalties in the game, obviously hurt us. Provided opportunities for them, whether taking points off the board for us or putting them in a position to get their field goals. So right now, what I'm looking for is a response from our players, coaches, our staff, people that are involved. And when you get knocked down, you get back up, and that's the message of this football game, of the game of football. And not easy. I've said that many times coming in here. It's not easy. You put a 320-pound guy on your nose and ask him to move them, or ask him to get a pass rush or whatever it is on either side of the ball. You got to be able to do those things, and that comes with intensity. So we're looking for a response. That our players have come to play every single weekend. They've been excited. Chemistry is good, and will come to play. So sometimes when you're facing difficult situations, you got to move it forward, and we will do that. But it's an opportunity to win 7, as I said. Again, you look at Nebraska, what they were able to do just from a fan support standpoint. So we're looking for fans this weekend, to come out. We've had 50,000 fans there at a spring game, so I don't ask for much sometimes. I just keep moving in the direction forward. But this is a moment for our seniors. It's senior day. We've had some. I think our seniors really have experienced everything. They've experienced championship moments, winning a Big Ten championship, going to the playoff games. They've also experienced a tough 2016 followed by a 10-win season. So it's an opportunity to say goodbye to them and have a positive experience there. Rutgers comes in an improved football team. Don't really look at their record as much as I look at their players and what they've been able to accomplish. So they've got a couple different quarterbacks playing a little bit. They've got a young freshman player in Sitkowski, and Rosignio is the 5th-year senior that sort of has played a lot lately as well. So, but 3 good running backs, experienced offensive line. They're young at the receiver core, defensively, improved defensively. I think they're playing well in the back end, in the secondary. Couple of linebackers that'll thump you, and as I said, an improved football team from what I feel when I look at them for the past year. So with that, I'll take some questions and we'll move it forward.
Mark, at the middle here. You had realistic, big expectations coming into this year of a 10-win season, but injuries have tested depth, have revealed youth. You were a young team last year too. Do you feel you overachieved last year a bit? Have you underachieved this year, both or neither?
I really think when you have a great football team and you succeed 13-1 at the Rose Bowl, 12-2 and 15 or whatever it is, you overachieve. I think you have to overachieve when you have great years. That's part of it. I do think that you need to be fortunate from an injury standpoint. As I said, we're on our 4th punter. That's unheard of. We've got basically 2 players on our entire offense who've not missed games. And so, you know, we've gone through it in that respect, but there are other opportunities. I think also every single game, you know, if you look at it, we're right there with an opportunity to win, and I think that's what's probably frustrating the most. It's frustrating to the coaches, it's frustrating to most fans, I'm sure, that because you can look at it, you can say, if we would have just done that in that situation, you know, you have a chance to win. Whether you look at the Ohio State game, even the Michigan game, you know, it's 7-7 there. So you're looking at a very small margin of errors, but that's what we had last year when we won 10 games. There were margins of error that were small, but we made it. We crossed the hump there. And so, you know, last year we won a game 14-10 in Michigan. You win a game, I think, 19-10, or what was it? It was 16-9. Win a game 17-10. You know, you win in close football games. This year, that hasn't happened. I think it's the inconsistencies on our offense, the timing. A lot of it's timing. You know, you have to have timing with your quarterback and your receivers or with your offensive line. You know, there's a reason a guy's number one and another guy's number two, to be quite honest with you. But it is sort of what it is. But, you know, we just keep playing. And I think we've been competitive, and I've always looked at things as, is the glass half empty or is it half full? Our defense is a top 20 defense, I think, in scoring defense, third down defense, total defense. I think we're number one in the nation in against the run, and I think that we're number one in the Big Ten in terms of red zone touchdowns given up. So, you know, we're playing well on that side of the ball, and that side's got to carry us a little bit, but, you know, that's just the facts. So, but we'll keep pushing, and I feel, like I said, I've always looked at I know this is a long answer, but hey, I got time today, okay? But I look at it as a whole, our program as a whole, and I ask ourselves, what kind of chemistry do we have? What are we doing in school? Highest grade point average that we've ever had. What are we doing on the field? Opportunity to win. Didn't, you know, still won 6 games right now. Want to win 7. Want to win 8. You know, what are we doing off the field in terms of how we're handling ourselves and in the community? And are we working? And what are we doing? You know, like I said, academically. I guess I already said that, but. So I got to look at things as a whole there and judge our program's attitude, not success, attitude in that respect. And that's what I always try to do. I always try and keep things in perspective because it's tough. These jobs are tough, and you got to be able to keep things in perspective in order to get better. If you don't, you send people south. My job is to keep people heading this way. I think that's what we'll do.
Mark, since you came 12 years ago, you've educated the fan base that football is a game of inches and you got to look for the hidden yardage. Another area you've talked about is punt being the most important play in the game. You've not hesitated when Shakir fumbled. He hasn't seen the field as a punt returner since.
Yeah.
But consistently for multiple games, punts are being allowed to roll and you're losing unbelievable amounts of yardage. Because Brandon hasn't been benched, that tells us that you're allowing it. So why is it that that's allowed, and how do you fix that?
Well, first of all, again, I don't know whether maybe it's the greenhouse effect or whatever, but I mean, we've had unbelievable wins in every single game that we've had, almost. Weather, winds, snow, rain, everything. We put 2 returners back there at times. We put 1 returner back there at times. Brandon, it is very difficult. If you've ever taken the ball off a jugs machine, you know how difficult it is to catch a punt. And you've got to be able to judge it. He does a good job of judging it. You're seeing an overuse, and not an overuse, you're seeing an explosion of rugby-style punters from Australia. And their punts go from over here to over there to straight on, based on where you're at in a lot of respects. So you're not seeing as many punt returns across the country as you have in the past. You've got gunners running, we call them gunners, but people running down on the outside that's got to be held up. And so you're seeing people pressure our returners. They have put the ball down inside the 10. You know, that's a tough one. You know, and Nebraska did it twice on Saturday. You know, William, our punter, is, you know, we're just getting it up and out. But there's a method to that, and there's a technique to that, and people grow to that. But a lot of those type of things are can we hold up the people coming down? You don't want to catch the ball inside the 10. He could have caught one, but that ball was, was over his head. And I've always told those guys, and that's me, I always told them the most important thing about our punt return game is no fakes, absolutely no fakes, no penalties. And we almost jumped off sides on 4th and 4. No penalties, because that sets you back an additional 15 yards or gives them a first down, and get the ball back. Get the ball back. So we're trying to fix it, with the 10-yard rule. But sometimes you got to give them credit too. They got players on scholarship, and they got a plan too. I remember Mike Sadler, when he was here, he put 20 punts down inside the 10, and nobody had an answer for it. So sometimes the punt's going to die inside the 10. And they had 2, and Ohio State had 5. And, congratulations to them, but I don't think that's the norm. We need to be able to return punts and get a guy. I thought Shaq maybe had something, but you can't put a guy in and turn the ball over. It's a very, it's taken for granted, but it's a very precarious situation when you're in front of 70,000 people catching a ball hanging up in the clouds, and especially in the wind. And the wind factors, if you don't get I guess going back to what I tell them, if you don't get your feet square, if you don't get your shoulders square, and you're not at a stationary position to catch the ball, okay, don't try and catch it on the run over your shoulder. It's too difficult. And that's what we've told them. So that's on me maybe. But I do believe that we're coaching it. Not allowing it, we're coaching it. But there is risk and reward there.
Kind of on that note, Brandon wasn't listed on your senior day tweet. Is he planning on applying for a 6th year to come back?
Yes, he's planning on applying for a 6th year, so it should work out in his favor.
And just overall for your senior class, obviously, their last year was a lot to do with your legacy. 16, obviously, those guys didn't go out and wanted to. Last year, it was the flip. This year, it's kind of in the middle. I guess what's the legacy for these guys who have been part of, the highs and lows?
I think college football in general is about life experiences. And you're going to have some good life experiences, and you're going to have some bad ones, I'm sure. And that goes with everybody's experiences. And, I think their legacy is hopefully they've experienced growth as a person, and that growth will make them stronger individuals as they grow older. If they've been to the height of basically college football and the Big Ten, had won a championship here. Some of our 5th-year seniors experienced the first Cotton Bowl and everything that went along with that. They experienced a 3-9 season, and they understand how quick things can flip on you, and some other things off the field that can shake you to your core. And then they've experienced an opportunity to get up off the mat, win 10 games last year in a bowl game, and I thought we had a very good year last year with a lot of players coming back. And now they've experienced it's about the inches, or it's about the smallest of things, or injuries, or people, or whatever it is, all the different factors that go into that. So, but this year is not done yet, and I do believe that this year will still be a success. I firmly believe that it will be a success. We'll make it a success. The way we handle things and the way we handle problems.
Mark, go ahead. I know we talked a little bit about it after the game, but now after you were able to review the film and with your desire to be a team that runs the ball well, have you looked back and thought you ran for 141 yards, I think, through 3 quarters,
yeah,
and then kind of went away from it in the 4th? Did you wish maybe there was a little different approach offensively now that you've had the chance to go back?
Yeah, I wish for a lot of things. They don't come true. I can't turn the clock back. I sit there and say, usually I've said on occasion, I've said, hey, we've got 2 downs here. To Coach Moore, we've got 2 downs here, run it. But on 3rd down, on the last 3rd down, I was busy trying to figure out, can he make the field goal from that depth? And so we didn't know whether we were going to go up for it on 4th down or not go for it on 4th down, because I didn't have an answer on that. The answer was slow in coming. So with the 3rd and 4, it's a high percentage pass down for most teams. So we throw it. And it was dropped. I mean, it was dropped. So execution. But yeah, when you look back at it, you look at things like that and say, wish we could have done this, wish we could have done that. You know, I don't have an answer for you. I wish, yeah, I'm not counting at that point in time. I'm trying to listen and move the football and do everything I can do on this side as a head coach to try and give our players an opportunity to win. So we had some drops. I think if we make those catches, I don't think we're talking about it.
Mark, the defense has played so well this year, but if you look at the stats and numbers, just objectively, you look at it and they're getting outscored 94-42 in the 4th quarter, and that's something that you guys always point to. But how much of that actually is really on the offense not sustaining drives in that final quarter?
First of all, I thought, you know, when you look at Nebraska, well, what transpired in that football game, which hopefully we're going to start talking about Rutgers, but hey, that's what it is. They made a decision at the beginning of the 2nd half to kick into the wind, to get and play defense against the wind in the 3rd quarter. And so conversely, they got the wind in the 4th. And the wind, if you guys were there, you were probably snuggled up there in the press box with some hot chocolate. But down on the field, the wind was blowing sideways, and it was cold, 11-degree wind chill, a lot of things going on. Big crowd, loud crowd, energetic crowd, great music between every series. Like that? But great environment, so, you know, tough. Got down there and had an opportunity, you know, and in the 1st quarter against the wind, and the 2nd quarter against the wind, and, you know, penalty moved us back, so we lost 3 points there. But yeah, you know, you can look at all kinds of things, kicking the ball out of bounds. You know, put the ball on the 35 with a penalty, a composure penalty, puts them on the 50. And now they're starting from the 50. You get a switch route, we blow one coverage. They have one play over 20 yards. Switch routes, puts the ball down there, and they're kicking a field goal. We come back the next series, I believe. And again, much like the Ohio State game, things just happen, boom, boom. Come back after that series, and we missed the blitzing linebacker. Should be picked up. It's built in to be picked up. Execution. He gets the guy flush, ball's out, they get the ball, go down to our 3, we hold them again. We stop. Field goal, 6-6. And then I can't remember the 3rd one. I think they drove down. They hit a little choice route outside, and then they drove down a little bit, hit a 47-yarder where the ball went in, went out, went in with the wind. If you watch the ball, it's a scientific phenomenon. Okay, so but I'm rolling with it. You can see. So anyway, yeah, I can't turn back the clock. We can't turn back the clock. All we can do is go forward. And you know, life's going to present problems to all of us in our ways of life. And I know I'm being philosophical, but along the way, you find a way to correct things and to move forward. Along the way, you just get back up and you just keep going. And that's what I've tried to do, and that's what our players have tried to do. And I think that you cannot say that we've ever come out flat and we haven't been prepared to play. And that's why I said when I talked to our players, as I said, hey, the wolf's at the door. You know, we're looking for a response. Get yourself ready. And that's what we will do.
Mark, will Felton Davis take part in Senior Day? Is he around or able to?
Yeah, he's here. He's here.
But he'll be a part of it then, Sam.
Yes, absolutely.
What would be your mixed emotions as he comes out there?
Well, I wish he had another year left. I wish it, you know, that he was an outstanding player for us. He's been an outstanding leader for us. And you know, he speaks to football ending for someone very, very quickly like that, and how things can change in your life very quickly, and about how not taking things for granted and you know, pressing forward. So he speaks to that. And I also think that he got himself ready to play, and he was very positive. He was a very positive leader for us throughout his time playing, and he remained positive. His message to our football team on our Friday night video last week was, was emotional, was strong, very strong.
You know, in your Magic years, you've had, I won't call it luck, but incredible good fortune not to have a lot of injuries. And this year, it's been incredible. Sometimes injuries are an excuse, and sometimes they're a reason you don't live up to expectations. Is it fair to say that in this year's case so far, it's been a reason?
I don't know that we've lost these games because of injuries, but I also don't know that we couldn't have played better. You know, had we not had them, we could have played better. We could have played more consistently. You know, I just think that's the way it's gone. You know, we've got our quarterback situation. You know, with I think Brian injured, lost confidence some. You know, I don't know if you guys notice it, but the social media out there is vicious. Okay, and it can destroy a person to some degree. Not destroy, but they can rattle somebody. So you've got different things going on in that capacity when you ask people to play in timing, and the quarterback position, wide receiver position is so much, I think, on timing, route running, separation, things of that nature. So I just think that injuries have entered into it. I think that Jake Hartberger obviously is an outstanding punter, makes a big difference. I do think we've gotten good punting for the most part from these guys who've punted in the past. I would go through all of them, but it would take too long. Okay, so I do think we've gotten good punting from them, but there are things, offensive line, same thing, just it's the game chemistry and timing of an offensive line working together day in, day out. We've got a lot of different pieces in there.
Mark, will you mind sharing some of what Felton said to the team in that video that you said was emotional?
He talked about how things can change on him quickly, just what he experienced, and about how the need to play and sort of the respect of being able to play the game, and how things can turn on you and it can be taken away from you very quickly. And he pressed a little bit on their competitive emotions, I think.
The other thing you've got Rutgers at the end here. You used to have Penn State in this game all the time. It's Rutgers and Maryland next year. In a few years, you end with Purdue, Indiana, Rutgers, Maryland. Like some of those big games out of November that you've had. Would you rather have sort of the traditional divisional rivals that you've had, sort of crescendo to them at the end of the year, or do you carry one way or another?
There's some things you can control and some things you cannot. We played Penn State at the end of the year since 1995, I believe that was the last game. So you sort of got used to it. But I think the main thing that I want to focus on is, do we want to be playing for a championship in our last game? And I don't care who it's against. And so we'll get ready to play. We played Rutgers last year. It was a huge win for us, huge win. I think this opportunity will be just as big a win for us. I really do. Because it's now, because it's in the present. And as I said earlier, they're an improved football team. They've played people tough, and they've been in every game. Just like last week, they were in the game very much against Penn State. So they'll come ready to play.
Mark, you mentioned game of inches, but last week, very uncharacteristic of your team. You had multiple unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. Was this a culmination of frustration? Was it youth? Was it how the game was being called? How do you explain that?
Well, on two of them, I would say that they were honest mistakes. Pulling a guy off a pile when there's a penalty, he should know better, but he's pulling a guy up. He's not trying to start a fight or anything like that. We got one when we were too close to the punt returner, when he bobbled the ball. Now, if he had never bobbled the ball, then it was no penalty, but because he bobbled the ball and he hit him between the bobble, it was a penalty. And then there's two that are a lack of composure. And coming out of the end zone, moved the ball back, where we subsequently missed a field goal, and then the one on the kickoff. Yeah, they're tangled up and all that kind of stuff. There's people are jawing at each other, but you can't react. And maybe the other guy took a swing, but you can't react because it cost us, not them. So, those are things that we have to learn. And as I said, you learn the hard way, because not only does that impact the football game, that impacts maybe where you go as a team in the bowl structure. That impacts, that's long-lasting impact. And our players need to understand that and see that on the video, and they saw it. They visually saw it and heard about it yesterday. And that's a message to everybody. They're not bad people, they're not bad kids, but we're going to make mistakes, and we're all going to pay for those mistakes. So you just got to continue to educate.
Mark, you mentioned Brian and kind of his confidence being chipped away a little bit, playing hurt, and obviously not being as effective as he would like. How much does that play into the decision on when you send him back out there, and maybe not wanting to put him out there again when he isn't 100%, and letting him get a chance to get healthy and not struggle again?
No, I think that first of all, playing that position is a struggle in itself. It really is. And second of all, he'll be able to play when he says he's able to play, and he's able to play effectively. Now, is it this week? We'll see, because I think it's a game-to-game thing. And relative to that, I think Rocky Lombardi had his first experience in an away game with a loud, hostile environment where chips were sort of stacked against him a little bit as it came down the stretch. He had to make plays down the stretch. I think that's a tremendous learning environment for him. I think he's a competitor. I think he's got great leadership skills, and he made plays in the game as well. So he'll be better this next opportunity out.
We got time for a couple more guys.
Mark, Kenny Wilk has really developed into one of the better defensive linemen in the country. I'm wondering, what did you and your staff see in him, as a former walk-on, and what's it been like to watch him develop into the player he is today?
Yeah, when he came here, we couldn't decide whether to use him at the F position or linebacker position. We had him at linebacker, and then as he was redshirted that first year, we put him in defensive end a little bit. What you see in him is relentless attitude, effort, toughness, and it rubs off on everybody else. And I think that's the best thing you can say about it.
Mark, we've talked so much about your quarterback situation. Rutgers is in a similar situation where they're in between quarterbacks. I guess, how do you prepare for that when you do have two guys to prepare for on the other side?
Well, I think we look at everything that they do and ask, does their offense change regardless of who's the quarterback? And even if it doesn't change, what do they do a little bit more when so-and-so is the quarterback? Like Rosignio probably scrambles a little bit more than Sikowski or something to that effect. I think that they're going to play the guy that gives them the best chance to win, and that's what they're going to do. And I've been impressed with their running backs. And Blackshear's a dynamic receiver too, leads them in rushing and receiving. So playing better on the defense side as well. So again, they're an improved football team. Would not play into what their record is right now. They're an improved football team, and it should be recognized that Coach Ash, I believe, got an extension. I believe. And should be congratulated for that.
Last one right here, Steve.
Mark, you talked about Felton. I'm wondering about Tyson Smith and just sort of what impact he's been able to have behind the scenes this year. I know you mentioned that at least initially you wanted to sort of let him touch multiple aspects of the program sort of behind the scenes. Just wondering what he's been able to do this year and your memory of him as he moves on.
Yeah, Tyson played for us as a true freshman in the 2015 season, and was what I considered a starting defensive back corner here. He regained his health last year, was able to play last year, and had a big first game, and then played in the season when he was injured a little bit. But what he's doing now is he's worked in the secondary, and he's concentrating on his graduation, and then after that, if he still has not graduated next year, which I believe could be the case because he's only 4 years in, that he would start to touch other aspects and be a little bit more of a student assistant. Right now, he is a student assistant, but we allow him to sort of work within the team, not be saying, hey, you're a coach over here. But I think he's had a great experience, and there's always strength through adversity, and I see that strength in him daily. And he's been a very, very positive person for us, and energetic guy for us on the field.
Is that where he's going to go into coaching?
That's what he wants to. I told him it's tough. I told him a lot of the things you got to deal with. But that's what he wants to do. That's what he says he wants to do.
Thank you.
That's good.